I don't really know anything about respiration for my A2 biology exam, so I thought I'm just going to make one of these videos and hopefully it'll sink into my head. Anyway, there are 4 steps to respiration. First there's glycolysis, and that occurs in the cytoplasm. You got your glycogen store, which you get from your food and stuff, and then that's glucose, which is 6 carbons, and then that breaks down into a intermediate 3 carbon compound, which requires 2 lots of ATP molecules. Then that intermediate 3 compound then breaks down into pyruvate, which creates 4 lots of ATP and 2 hydrogens times 2. Then you got the link reaction, which occurs also in the matrix of the mitochondria, and basically 2 things happen. You've got the dehydrogenated pyruvate, which is basically where 2 hydrogens are stolen from the NAD molecule. Then you got your decarboxylation, where 2 carbons are released, and you're left with 2 carbon molecules, and those 2 carbon molecules join up with coenzyme A, which creates acetyl coenzyme A. I think that's how you say it. And this acetyl coenzyme A, moves to another bit of the matrix of the mitochondria, and it goes into the Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle happens twice for each for each glucose molecule you get. So, and then basically, this is what it looks like. Looks like a crab, which, you know, Krebs cycle looks like a crab. And you got your 2 lots of acetyl coenzyme A's, breaks down, it's basically a 6 carbon compound, then it breaks down into a 5 carbon compound by removing CO2 and 2 hydrogens. But those 2 hydrogens are stolen away from naughty little NAD. There he is. And it becomes reduced. And then this 5 carbon compound also breaks down into a 4 carbon compound, and that requires losing 6 lots of hydrogens, which are stolen away by FAD. FADs and NADs are naughty. And that it releases ATP and carbon dioxide. Basically, all the hydrogens, they're being stolen away for a reason. So, and it's taken for this process called oxidative phosphorylation. Basically, the making of ATP using oxygen. And basically, what happens? Well, this is a little diagram of it. And basically what happens, it happens in the cristae of the mitochondria, and basically the hydrogen from the reduced NAD and reduced FAD come along to the cristae of the mitochondria, and the hydrogen atom splits into 2, splits into electrons and protons, and the electrons go through the electron transport chain under redox reactions. See them going along there? Right. Yeah, and then that creates energy. And then you've got your protons that go through the channel proteins down a concentration gradient, and then they're all up in the intermembrane space, and then they flow down this stool particle here called ATP synthase. It goes down the electrochemical gradient, creates ATP while it's doing so, and then the protons and the electrons, they meet together in the matrix of the mitochondria, and it gets accepted by O2. You see them there meeting up, and that creates water. Yeah, it's basically respiration. Yeah, actually, I'll go through anaerobic as well. Basically, anaerobic. This is the diagram for it. Basically, it's anaerobic respiration is respiring without oxygen, and a constant supply of NAD is required in order to create ATP. It's not very efficient, but in order to supply instant energy, it's kind of needed really, that option. Basically, the glucose is broken down into pyruvate as glycolysis, and that requires that creates 2 ATP, and then the 2 hydrogens that come out from it get picked up by reduced NAD, which then converts into NAD, and it's called a lactate pathway. See there? And 2 hydrogens go into the making of lactate. Basically, when aerobic respiration continues, lactate is converted back into pyruvate, because it's not that good for you. It lowers the enzyme's pH, which inhibits them and causes muscle cramps, because there's a lot of lactic acid in there. But yeah. And it's oxidized in the Krebs cycle, where it turns into CO2, and the extra oxygen needed is called the oxygen debt. Yeah, it's quite a boring video, I'm sorry.